Cold, carrying the sharp scent of crushed pine needles and impending rain. You are running through the dense, shadowed forest. Twigs snap beneath your boots, your breath plumes in the freezing air. And then you hear it. The hushed, urgent murmur of voices. You drop to your knees, scraping your skin on hard stones, crawling through the prickly shrubs. Through a break in the leaves, the pale glare of artificial light hits your eyes, and the agonizing, high-pitched scream of a tortured fairy shatters the silence of the woods.
Wow.
Okay, stepping out of the audiobook booth for a second, welcome to the deep dive, everybody.
That was intense.
Right. I mean, I had to drop the deep emotional male voice and start there just to give you, the listener, a genuine feel for the sheer atmospheric weight of today's source material.
Oh, absolutely. It's incredibly heavy.
Yeah, we're examining a text where survival dictates literally every waking moment. Today, we're pulling from excerpts of the 2010 fantasy novel called The Demon Girl by Penelope Fletcher.
Which is just a fascinating read.
It really is.
Yeah.
And our mission today is to dissect this narrative about a girl whose entire reality, I mean, her history, her species, and the carefully constructed morality of her society is just violently flipped upside down in a single day.
Yeah, and to understand that psychological shatter point that our protagonist reaches, we first, we kind of have to synthesize the sociological structure of her world.
Right, set the stage for us.
So this is a post-apocalyptic setting, right?
Yeah.
But not one born of, nuclear fallout or a viral pandemic.
Get no zombies here.
Exactly. Decades ago, humanity suffered this apocalyptic event known as the rupture. And basically the global food chain inverted overnight.
Just completely flipped.
Yes. Mythological predators. So we're talking vampires, shifters, goblins, and fairies.
Which are terrifying in this universe, by the way.
Utterly terrifying. They were unleashed upon the world in this supernatural cataclysm, and it drove humanity to the brink of extinction.
So now everyone is just like hiding?
Pretty much. The remnants of human civilization survive in these heavily fortified, militarized settlements. And our protagonist, Ray Wilder, she lives in one called the Temple.
Which used to be an old army base, right?
Correct. And it relies on this massive grid of electrified walls to keep the horrors out. The internal society there is governed entirely by an elite caste of human warriors known as the sect's clerics.
Right, and these clerics, they are impossible to miss. They wear these hooded crimson blazers with black tails, and they have this really stark white-eyed sigil stitched onto their breast pockets.
Very intimidating uniform.
Extremely. And they are revered as the absolute saviors of humanity. Now, Ray is a disciple, which means she's basically a student training under the sect to become a protector herself.
But she's not exactly a model student.
No, she is failing the behavioral conditioning so hard she is a total mess. Like, her room is buried under crushed cans and clothes.
She runs incredibly hot all the time, physically.
Yeah, and most dangerously, she actively rebels against the confinement of the temple. Every single morning, she secretly breaks out past the electrified wall to run in the forbidden forest, which they just ominously call the outside.
And, the mechanism of her escape is actually the first big indicator that the sect's control is kind of an illusion.
Oh, for sure, because she doesn't just, pick a lock.
Right. Ray possesses this gift that she doesn't fully understand. She isn't using tools or hacking a keypad to bypass the perimeter. She literally just stares at the electrified steel webbing, channels this deep internal desire for an opening, and the wires physically unravel themselves.
Without setting off a single alarm, no klaxons, nothing.
Exactly. She is manipulating energy at a subatomic level unconsciously. But, that illusion of safety, this idea that she can just dabble in the dangerous outside and return home,
Yeah.
that is permanently destroyed on this specific morning in the woods.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because she drops into a clearing and witnesses a scene that completely breaks her understanding of who the monsters actually are, right?
It shatters everything she knows.
Yeah, she sees a lord and a lady cleric interrogating a young demon. But it's not some hulking beast. It's a fairy girl named Maeve.
Right, with vibrant green skin and this wild scarlet hair.
Exactly. And the clerics are literally using taser probes on her. Maeve is on the ground, crying, saying she means no harm. And the lord cleric, whose handsome face Ray actually recognizes from the temple, he punches her.
He slashes her face with a knife.
Yes, and brutally stomps on her thigh, snapping her leg. And honestly, why do dystopian societies and literature always rely on absolute fear? Like, Ray realizing the humans are the monsters is kind of like finding out the local fire department is actually starting all the fires.
That is a great analogy. And what's fascinating here is how the author uses this inciting incident to deconstruct the theme of institutional deception.
Right, because the clerics command absolute obedience.
Exactly. Through sect doctrine, it's a highly sanitized, fear-based curriculum. They frame themselves as humanity's only saviors by dehumanizing the other. Ray has been conditioned her whole life to view demons as mindless, bloodthirsty beasts.
But Maeve's terrified. She's vulnerable.
Yes, the supposed monster is capable of truth and terror, while the revered human protectors are committing cold-blooded murder.
It forces this complete cognitive reset for Ray. The Lady Cleric yells for whoever is in the bushes to show themselves. And Ray realizes, like in the split second, that blind obedience to this institution means participating in its cruelty.
Or becoming a victim of it.
Right. And then the fairy girl, Maeve, looks right at Ray, just whispers, "Run!" And the cleric immediately executes the fairy.
That is so brutal.
It's awful. Ray bolts. And this kicks off a massive chase sequence that triggers this incredibly violent biological chain reaction in Ray's body.
Because the clerics deploy bloodhounds to hunt her down, right?
Yeah.
So Ray is forced to fight back. She actually kicks the lady cleric into a tree, which shatters one of the deepest taboos of her society.
You do not touch a cleric.
Never. But as the dogs close in and one actually snaps at her heel, the sheer primal terror catalyzes a biological override called an awakening.
And this isn't just like an adrenaline rush.
No, not at all. The prose shifts into this massive sensory explosion. Rita describes the world shifting into a spectrum of electric blue and purple.
Oh, and her speed. She starts gliding over the earth so fast she doesn't leave a single footprint in the soil.
Her optical and auditory processing expands into entirely new dimensions.
Wait, I have to mention the bullet too. A bullet actually grazes her arm during the chase, and she watches the tissue knit itself back together instantly.
It's incredible, but surviving the chase doesn't mean she's safe.
Right, there's a cost.
A huge cost.
Right.
The moment she stops running, her body exacts a horrifying pull for that burst of power.
Yeah.
She collapses into these uncontrollable convulsions.
Yeah, it's described as this agonizing seizure, like splinters of ice and waves of fire burrowing deep into her pores. Her human biology is quite literally being burned away and rewritten.
And that physical agony is so crucial for grounding the trauma of her transformation. A forced coming of age is rarely painless, and here it's represented through absolute biological torment.
It sounds awful.
It is, and it's in the immediate aftermath of this seizure that she encounters Brendan.
Oh, Brendan.
Yeah, he's this fairy who just emerges from the woods. He's bare-chested, heavily tattooed.
Tattoos that actively glow in the dark, might I add.
Yes, and he has these intense silver eyes. He informs her of what she now is, but he also introduces an entirely new layer of existential threat.
The Nexus.
Exactly. The moment he physically touches her, this volatile, hot energy invades her body. He declares they are bound by a nexus, which is an unbreakable, ancient, magical bond triggered by touch, and he literally claims that because he found her first, she is his.
Okay, I have to push back on this a little, because this completely upends the whole heavily romanticized, fated mates trope we see so frequently in fantasy.
And it really does.
Like, the Nexus doesn't read like cosmic destiny at all. It sounds less like destiny and more like a magical tractor beam that actively strips away her personal agency.
A magical tractor beam. That's exactly what it feels like.
And Ray's reaction is so relatable and grounding. She doesn't just fall into his arms. She is furious. She threatens him with physical violence, totally denies the bond, and just tells him, "In your dreams."
Which makes her such a compelling protagonist. She just survived a traumatizing rewrite of her cellular structure. She refuses to let some stranger rewrite her autonomy.
Right, but having survived all that, she still has to go back to the temple.
Which forces her into a really dangerous double life.
Yeah, she brings the outside in with her. In a moment of dangerous compassion, she sneaks a vampire named Thomas past the wall.
Because the sun is rising.
Exactly, and sunlight is an absolute death sentence for vampires in this lore. They burst into flames and turn to ash. So Ray smuggles him into her dorm, and she casually hides this lethal, sun-fearing vampire in the darkest corner she can find.
Her messy wardrobe.
Yes, right next to her old sweaters. The juxtaposition there is wild. But she has to leave him there and go straight to her demon theory class.
And the classroom dynamics are fascinating. You have Ray's friend, Alex, whose mother was a voodoo mambo from the slums, and she's openly challenging the curriculum.
And there's Devlin, this overly confident boy with white hair.
Right. And the classroom setting serves as a brilliant microcosm of the ideological war happening outside. They're being taught a sanitized, statistical version of demons.
Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting. How does Ray handle the stress of knowing the teacher grading her paper at the front of the room is Cleric 2?
The same cleric from the forest?
Yes, the exact same Lord Cleric she watched brutally murder a child that morning. It's like taking a final exam while sitting next to a ticking time bomb. The psychological dissonance is staggering.
She is forced into deep subterfuge. Controlling the curriculum allows the clerics maintain power, but Ray's awakening has fundamentally altered her perception. She begins to see through glamour.
Glamour being magical illusions, right?
Yes, but glamour isn't just a physical disguise. It's a psychic intrusion that forcibly overwrites what the observer's brain perceives as reality.
That is terrifying.
It is, and through her newly awakened senses, Ray looks at Devlin, the white-haired boy. The human illusion strips away, and she realizes he is actually a fairy.
Hiding in plain sight.
Right there inside the heavily fortified human temple.
That chilling realization, this constant paranoia about what is real and what is an illusion, forces Ray into a corner.
She needs answers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Her inability to suppress her true nature eventually leads her to seek out those answers, which brings us to her secret meetings with another fairy named Kael.
Kael is this intense warrior with gold eyes and a massive sword.
Yeah, and he gives her first magic lesson. He takes her into the woods to teach her how to consciously pull energy from what they call the source.
And drawing from the source, which is this ambient, raw, magical energy field, is highly volatile for someone untrained.
To say the least. She pulls so much power, she creates a massive fireball she can't control. Kael has to implode it before it incinerates them both.
But touching that much raw power acts as a final trigger. The magic fractures the last remnants of her human shell.
The physical manifestation is brutal. Her spine arches and golden-tipped wings literally tear through her skin. A tail materializes, and her voice changes so it sounds like chinking crystals.
The metamorphosis is complete, but the physical changes are totally eclipsed by the psychological bombshell Kael drops on her.
Oh my gosh, yes. The twists.
First, Kael reveals that he is actually Ray's biological older brother.
Which is huge.
And second, Ray is not an 18-year-old human orphan. She is a 200-year-old fairy.
Okay, wait. I have to totally geek out over this timeline discrepancy for a second.
Go for it.
Brendan said he was 20 years old. That means Ray is technically 180 years older than her supposed fated mate.
It's brilliant.
It completely flips the usual supernatural romance dynamic on its head. Usually, it's the ancient immortal guy and the naive teenage girl. Here, she's the ancient one.
Exactly. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the author uses this revelation to brilliantly reframe Ray's lifelong struggles. Her messy habits, her running hot, her claustrophobia, they were never character flaws.
They were biological symptoms.
Yes, symptoms of a magically induced lie. Her entire life was a lie to protect a cosmic artifact. Her mother was a powerful priestess who broke a vow, placed Ray in a stasis spell, and split a powerful amulet into pieces.
And gave Ray the piece representing wisdom she's been wearing as a necklace this whole time.
Exactly. The author weaves this magical artifact plot perfectly into Ray's deeply personal search for identity and family.
But a secret that massive can't stay buried. The collision of her two worlds comes to a head when her human life is directly threatened by her fairy enemies.
Right, because her magical signature flared like a beacon.
So this rogue fairy faction, led by the glamoured Devlin and this highly sadistic fairy named Wasp, they realize they have to attack her human tethers. They kidnap her human best friend Alex to use as bait.
And they drag her deep into the forest to a stone altar.
The climax is so anxiety-inducing. It's this terrifying ritual. The fairies are circling, chanting, "The night is our master." Devlin raises this jagged blade over Alex's chest. Ray is physically restrained, forced to watch the human girl who stood up for her about to be sacrificed.
It's the ultimate test of her fractured identity.
Yeah, but right as the blade falls, Kael dramatically appears from the trees, cradling a mysterious leaf-wrapped bundle in his arms.
Presumably rescuing Alex or offering a distraction.
Right, and the excerpt ends on that cliffhanger, which leads directly into the sequel, A Demon Day.
Where Ray, Brendan, and Kael, who she now calls Eryndor, form a hunting party.
They officially team up to hunt down Devlin.
And what's so important there is how Ray has finally integrated her past and present. She uses her immense new fairy powers not to destroy the humans, but to protect her human friend.
It's such a great resolution to her internal conflict. So, as we wrap up, I want you, listening right now, to imagine something. Imagine discovering that every mundane struggle you have ever faced was actually a symptom of a suppressed magical truth.
It's a wild thought.
How would you react if your instincts were suddenly proven right, but it meant your whole life was a 200-year-old lie? Would you keep playing the part, or would you unravel the fence?
It's a profound question of identity.
And I want to leave you with one final provocative thought. Rey possesses the Amulet of Wisdom, but her mother split the artifact into 3 pieces. She gave one to Rey and one for protection to someone else.
Right.
Who holds the other 2 pieces? And what happens when all 3 are brought together? Could the very thing meant to protect Rey ultimately be the key to destroying the world?
We'll have to see.
So what does this all mean? It means there's always more beneath the surface. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive.
Keep questioning your own reality, and we will see you next time.